Well, let's bring in military expert Afzal Ashraf now from the Rusi Research Group in London. He was involved in training the Iraqi military. Thank you very much indeed for speaking to us here on Al Jazeera. So the Iraqis are still waiting for the Americans to deliver their fighter jets. In the meantime, the Russians have delivered theirs, the Sukhoi planes, and they're waiting for more deliveries. What message do you think this sends? I mean, the Russians are in, the Americans are not?
Well, I'm not sure that it's Russians out, or rather the Americans out and Russians in, but it is a message, I think, from Prime Minister Maliki to the American government that they're not entirely dependent on the Americans and that the Russians are there to help them. And they've also, in fact, Prime Minister Maliki said that perhaps we should have bought from the British or the French. So it's going back to his original request of over a week ago, nearly 10 days ago, when he first asked the Americans for air support. And as you know, a few days ago, the Americans announced that they were sending about 350-odd ground personnel, but there was very little in the way of air support apart from surveillance and close support through drones for their own force protection. So this is Maliki, Prime Minister Maliki, saying to the Americans, well, if you're not going to give it to me, I'll try and find other sources. Right.
There are American military advisors on the ground, these Russian planes as well, the fighter jets. How much of a difference is this making on the battlefield right now in the fight against the Sunni fighters?
Well, the Russian jets haven't been deployed yet. It'll reportedly take a few days, according to the Iraqis. They're claiming 3 to 4 days. I rather suspect that it's probably going to be a lot longer than that. It takes a long time to actually reassemble an aircraft, to do all the necessary maintenance on it. But much more importantly, you've got to get the crews up and ready. And of course, it's very unlikely that the Iraqis have crews that are trained for this. So the question really is who's going to be flying these things? And I would suspect that it could be Russian or former Eastern Bloc pilots who'll be flying any initial sorties. So that's going to open up an interesting new dynamic with Russian or Russian sympathetic aircrew in the air, whilst the American forces are on the ground.
That's interesting. The Iraqi military officers, Mr. Ashraf, seem convinced that they can defeat the insurgents. How well equipped are the ISIL-led fighters, and how well determined are they to push forward and head to Baghdad?
Well, they're certainly determined. The equipment varies. They've got a lot of captured equipment from the Iraqi army. They've captured some equipment in Syria. So they're reasonably well equipped, certainly in terms of infantry soldiers, ground-based soldiers. They've got a fair amount of equipment. But I think their fighting edge is determination. That's what they want to do. The Iraqi army is now becoming more and more determined, because that is the thing that they lacked at the initial stages. So what we are probably going to see is a very fierce fight for Tikrit and Mosul and other areas in the next few days and weeks.
Afzal Ashraf, thank you very much indeed for your insight. Afzal Ashraf is a consultant fellow at the Royal United Services Institute. He was joining us there live from London.